Alright, hi everyone, it's me, Harlan, and today we're going to start a new little series. I'm still not really sure what to call it, if I'm being totally honest. I don't know, I've called it like 3 different things now. But I'm going to start a little series where I essentially read to you guys, which sounds whatever. I know that for me, sometimes, I'm a big reader. My bookshelf over there can tell you that. Um, but I know that sometimes if it's a longer book, sometimes I struggle to keep my focus, or sometimes I just end up not being as into a book as I thought I was going to be. And it can actually really help if instead of reading, I listen to it. And I don't know, maybe some of you guys are like that. That's not really why I'm doing this series, but it's why I'm deciding to continue it after this first book, which is actually going to go a lot quicker than I thought it was initially. Um, yeah, let's just get into it. So, the first book for this little series is The Asylum for Wayward Victorian Girls by Emilie Autumn. She is a music artist. I don't really know how to describe her genre. um, but you know that like punk fairy clown aesthetic thing that happened at some point? Yeah, yeah. That's not like her music, but that's like her style. Yeah. So this is like a semi biography that she wrote, and I'll read the back to you guys. I guess this is gonna be a little bit like a book club. Not really, though, at all. But in my heart, that's what it is. I should join a book club. Anyways, two young women living centuries apart, both accused of madness, communicate across time to fight a common enemy, their doctors. Okay, I have only read the first couple of pages of this book, so I'm pretty much going in blind, but just the first line here, kind of. Anyways, it was the dog who found me. Such is the stark confession launching the harrowing scene that begins the Asylum for Wayward Victorian Girls. As Emilie Autumn, a young musician on the verge of a bright career, attempts suicide by overdosing on the antipsychotics prescribed to treat her bipolar disorder. Upon being discovered, Emilie is revived and immediately incarcerated in a maximum security psych ward, despite her protestations that she is not crazy and can provide valid reasons for her actions if someone would only listen. Treated as a criminal, heavily medicated, and stripped of all freedoms, Emilie is denied communication with the outside world and falls prey to the unwelcome attentions of Dr. Sharp, head of hospital's psychiatry department. As Dr. Sharp grows more predatory by the day, Emilie begins a secret diary to document her terrifying experience, and to maintain her sanity in this environment that could surely drive anyone mad. But when Emilie opens her notebook to find a desperate letter from a young woman imprisoned within an insane asylum in Victorian England and bearing her own name and description, a portal to another world is blasted wide open. As these letters from the past continue to appear, Emilie escapes further into this mysterious alternate reality where sisterhoods are formed, romance between female inmates blossoms, striped wallpaper writhes with ghosts, and highly intellectual rats speak the Queen's English. But is it real, or is Emilie truly as mad as she's constantly told? The Asylum for Wayward Victorian Girls blurs harsh reality and magical historical fantasy whilst issuing a scathing critique of society's treatment of women in the mental health care industry's treatment of its patients, showing in the process that little has changed throughout the ages. So, obviously, something very near and dear to my heart. We'll leave it at that. just I refuse to crack the spine, but I will fold it right on the seam there. No, none of my books have cracked spines, and it is for a reason. Yeah, anyways. Okay. So, just the copyright section. I feel like I don't really need to read this, but just in case YouTube tries to copyright strike me, I'll read it out. You know, none of this belongs to me. All of this is Emilie's work, whatever. All words, graphics created and solely owned by Emilie Autumn. All rights reserved. No part of this publication can be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form without prior permission from the public. It's her work. Go support her. She's a lovely artist. Sorry, I just saw an email on here that sorry. So for permission requests, it says to write to the publisher, and the email address that they provide is help@asylumemporium.com. I just, yeah, anyways. So these chapters aren't really chapters. The book is actually divided up by hospital entries and asylum letters. Those being, like, of course, the letters that Emilie is finding from this past Emilie, but with a Y, who was at the asylum beforehand. And originally, so I was thinking that we were probably going to only do a chapter 2 per video, but because these are about 5 pages long, I think the longest one I've seen in here is 10 pages. We're actually going to be going right up to hospital entry 13. I'm gonna stop it there for today. So that is just 39 pages, so this is probably going to be a really quick video. I might reassess once we actually get there if I want to continue on. If we find a really good cliffhanger, I'm actually going to leave you guys on that instead. So be warned, okay? I like to leave you guys in suspense because it gives me a reason to come back to this and it gives you guys a reason to come back to this. Alright? So all in all, this is only a 320-page book. To some people that sounds like a lot. I'm also sitting here able to look at Stephen King books that are upwards of 1,000 pages, so this is a cakewalk. God, I remember being able to read 1,000 pages. That's not easy. Hospital entry 1. Suicide watch. It was the dog who found me. I heard him crying outside the bathroom door, but the sound seemed very far away. I wasn't there anymore. I was lying in a field of tall, soft grass, tall enough to hide me from anyone who came looking. The grass moved around me, but there was no sound. I felt a soft blanket of tree-filled sunlight wash over me, and I wanted to sleep forever. I felt no fear, no panic. I felt relieved. Relieved that I had made my decision and gone through with it. And now there was nothing left to do but wait and lay. Wait and lay. Wait and lay. All my highs and lows, ups and downs, to be's or not to be's, were over at last. I had no regrets. I was at peace, and this was a sensation I hadn't known until that moment. I was at peace. I was at peace. I was at peace. Then there were arms lifting me up, voices screaming in my ears, and I was being shaken violently while hydrogen peroxide was poured down my throat. There was no sunlight, no grass, just a dirty bathroom floor, and all I wanted was to go back to sleep. I'm standing in the back of the line at the emergency room, and I feel like a fraud. I'm not bleeding. I can walk. I've been bribed. I would never have come willingly had I not been threatened with the immediate cutoff of my psychiatric medication. And just as a breakup is something that should never be done by phone, neither is being informed that you need to go to the insane asylum. But it was. Shrink. I can't see you anymore until you check yourself into a mental hospital. Me? What? Why? Shrink. Because the moment you tell me that you attempted suicide, I have no choice but to insist that you be kept under a minimum watch of 72 hours. Under watch? By whom? I don't need to be watched. I need my drugs. Then you better get yourself into the hospital today. I can't refuel your prescriptions after what you've done. I legally can't. Wait, just wait. You asked me how I was doing, and I told you. I told you because I thought I was supposed to be honest with you. I thought that you were the one person it was safe to be honest with, but it's beginning to sound like you're the only one I really needed to lie to. Emilie, you're an extremely intelligent and talented young woman, but you're also very, very sick, and you need to be in a place where you can get better. Please, can't I just come in and talk to you? Show you that I'm alright? I mean, I'm not crazy. At least not in the way this looks like. There are real reasons, valid reasons why I did this. And you know what, doctor? I stand by them. I believe anyone could have done the same in my place. No, you can't come in to see me. Or rather, you can, but if you do, you won't need a ride home because there will be an ambulance waiting to take you directly from my office to the hospital. So basically refusing to give me my bipolar medication until I agree to check myself into, what, a psych ward? Even though we both know that within 48 hours, I'll be a suicidal lunatic running into the streets in the hopes of getting hit by at least one car if I don't get the drugs. If I say, no, I'm not going, are you comfortable with that outcome? Look, Emilie, I think that being under this kind of supervised care is exactly what you need right now. Dear God, only 72 hours? 72 hours minimum. No, this isn't going to work. I have shows coming up. Fuck, I have an album to finish. You better check yourself in this morning. Why are you here? Snaps a woman in minty green scrubs, and sounding a smidgen impatient about it. She is approaching me with a clipboard, and I assume she's coming to ask what the hell I think I'm doing here, and why I look like I've just come from a costume ball, and why I have a heart painted on my right cheek, and why I'm wearing boots with skulls on them because it's bloody morbid and people are dying, shouldn't be seeing that, and I'm suicidal, I announce. Oh my, I sounded almost proud about that, and I'm smiling. God, maybe I do belong here. The nurse looks as though she doesn't believe me, and I don't blame her. I'll try again. What I mean is, I tried to kill myself, so my doctor cut off my medication. He said I have to get it from you now. I don't think I've ever sounded so absurd in my life. However, this does the trick, and the nurse marches me right past the front of the line into a tiny examination room, where another nurse, tucked safely behind a desk, orders me to sit down. Family history of bipolar disorder? Yes. Family history of suicide? Yes, but that's not why. Ever hear voices? I hear you. Voices in your head that nobody else hears. I did when I was little, every night in fact, for years. But not anymore. Ever been abused? How do you mean? Sexually? Is rape abuse? Rape is abuse. That's nice, I just thought it was something men did. Ever been pregnant? Yes. Are you pregnant right now? No. When did you stop being pregnant? Last week. She raises her eyes from the form she's been filling out, and I can feel her judgment. The judgment I suspect I had better become accustomed to, because I know that it will never go away. It wasn't my fault. I was on the pill, but my bipolar medication cancels out the pill, and my doctor never felt this worth mentioning to me. It wasn't safe to keep. You have any family? No. Having completed her form, the nurse now takes my vitals without responding at all to what I've just told her. Aren't you going to ask me why I did it? Did what? Took all the sleeping pills at once? No. A plastic hospital bracelet is strapped onto my wrist, and fancy that, it already has my name on it. Patient Autumn, Emilie, age 27. Everything done, I would have thought I'd be off to a hospital bed or tied up to a pole, perhaps. But alas, it's into the waiting room for me. There's something slightly dangerous in the air. The patrolling armed guards are staring at me with questionable intent. And, if I'm honest, I don't feel that my new plastic bracelet has given me the street cred I hoped it might. I've been given a form of my own to fill out, so I take my clipboard and chose a torn vinyl chair in the middle of the room, having learned the hard way that a room's more remote edges are the worst place one can be. If I can explain, if you want to be safe, walk in the middle of the street. I'm not joking. You've been told to look both ways before crossing, that the sidewalk is your friend, right? Wrong. I've spent years walking on sidewalks at night, because that's what people do who haven't got money for the bus. I've glanced around myself in the darkness, silent, frantic, and I saw the men following me, creeping out of alleyways, attempting to goad me into speaking to them, then shouting obscenities at me when I wouldn't. And I suddenly realized that the only place left to go was the middle of the street. But why would I risk it? Because the odds are my favor. In the States, someone's killed in a car accident on average every 12.5 minutes, while a female is raped on average every 2.5 minutes. Even when factoring in that, 1, I am generously including all vehicle-related accidents and not just those involving pedestrians, and 2, that the vast majority of rapes still go unreported because the victim is well aware that she will be blamed for the crime. I think my logic in this case speaks for itself, and thus is now the way I live my life. Out in the open, in the middle of everything, because the middle of the street is exactly the safest place to walk. Faced with the dauntingly vague and unsympathetic form, field labeled presenting problem, I print. Suicidal, unable to function reliably in everyday life. An appropriately robotic description of an unspeakably painful condition. I cannot function reliably. I'm wearing an antique pink Victorian glove on my left hand. My writing hand is gloved in black and white stripes. It's warm, but I prefer to keep my hands covered when I can. I don't like to touch things. I'm in my bed, in my room, in the emergency ward, and my stockings are all I have left. Before being alone, I was put through 3 comprehensive security checks, each by a different guard. While I had no idea that taking all of my sleeping pills would reduce me to the status of a common criminal in the eyes of this state, I certainly feel much less suicidal now that 3 men with guns have gone through my underwear. This is the checklist of what I brought with me into the hospital. Several books. I had figured that in between all of the marvelously beneficial treatments I'd be privileged to, there might be some downtime. 2, my notebooks. If I can't relentlessly document my surroundings as though I were witnessing life from somewhere up on the ceiling, I tend to go a bit loony. Shocking, I know. 3, pens and pencils. In order to not only write but also to sketch properly, I require both. 4, cell phone. Do you really think coming to a place like this without being able to call for backup? 5, 2 changes of clothes. If we had had the pleasure of even the briefest acquaintanceship, then you'll know that this is conservative, to put it lightly. 6, basic toiletries, hairbrush, toothbrush, lip gloss, etc. 7, the clothes on my back, long black coat, long black dress, gloves, boots, black rubber bracelets, striped stockings. This is the checklist of what I was allowed to keep with me in the hospital. The clothes on my back shortened down just to striped stockings. I'm not stupid. I know exactly what's going on, and I'm not fighting it. If I have to go through this, Apologies. If I have to go through this, I will glean from it any small benefit I can receive. I will not fight this. Bring it on. Bring on the cure. Bring on the fucking happy. I'm committed. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys, there's a little hospital form on the page here. I will translate all of the scribbled words because I'm sure you can't see this. It's also in selfie mode because I'm using a phone to try and record, so so it's an involuntary patient advisement form. The name of the facility is completely scratched out. Her name is scratched out. The admission number is scratched out. The doctor's name is scratched out as well. The only legible info on, written onto the form, where things are supposed to be written, at least, is document specific evidence which substantiates reason for hold. We feel this is true because you are depressed and suicidal, have a plan to overdose. The 72-hour holding period begins at 2 p.m. The time is 2 p.m. What is then scribbled over it in black is, please listen, wrong already, they are not listening to me. No, with an arrow pointing up to the line that says she's suicidal and plans to overdose, but have a plan I already did. Just listen to me. Alright, and that is the end of the first chapter. Oh well, that took a lot longer than I expected. It's already been 20 minutes. How has it already been 20 minutes? That was 10 pages. Oh, well, I guess that's 2 minutes per page, which isn't too bad, but it's because I'm reading it loud. Always takes a little bit longer. Okay, well, I guess I'm being late to game night because I want to keep reading with you guys, but I'm not going to. Well, these chapters are all 5 pages each. We'll see where it goes. Hospital Entry 2, The Red Crayon. I know I said only a moment ago that I would cooperate and trust the wisdom of the medical community, but I was perhaps a bit hasty. When my things were taken, the staff had assured me that they would be brought back to me as soon as I was settled. Now that I'm naked beneath a flimsy gown that doesn't close, why do they call it a gown? Is it sarcasm? And lying in a gurney, like a metal slab but less comfortable, with a shallow railing on the sides to keep me from jumping out, I find that I have been lied to. I am in a solidarity room in the emergency ward, and my door must be kept wide open at all times. I have the option of either complete darkness or the harsh fluorescent lighting that triggers my migraines. Scratch that last, there are no choices. Upon asking for the light to be turned off, I am told the guards need to be able to see into my room. One of these guards crosses my doorway every few minutes to make sure that I haven't hung myself with my own hair. I asked him when I will be given my things back, and the anxiety rises in my ulcer-ridden stomach when he tells me, indifferently, that I won't. But if I can't have my cell phone, how will anyone know where I am? How will they know I'm alright? You can't use your phone down here. This argument is somewhat desperate on my part, since I know there's no one within 1,000 miles who would come to visit me, let alone break me out if I couldn't take it anymore. But what if something horrible happens to me? What if I need to call 911? Oh, wait. I'm already at 911. What about my books? My pencils? You can't have pencils in here. Pens! I have pens! Can't have pens either, miss. How in the bloody hell can I hurt myself with a pen? Seriously now, I can't have one pen? It's a felt tip. The guard shakes his head. Nothing longer than it is wide. Is that it? Slight chuckle. Just about. Look, I'm going to go crazy in here. Wrong word. I need just one book. That's it, I promise you. Sir, I'm going to go completely and utterly mad if I can't at least read. Give me a manual on CPR or something. I'm shamelessly appealing to the guard's workload, assuming that he wouldn't want to be in here restraining yet another lunatic if he doesn't have to. But upon examining his physique, I determined that restraining lunatics is probably what he was bred for. Can't you at least ask a nurse for me? I do it myself, but you won't let me out of this thing. The guard walks away, and I find that my heart is pounding. I have no privacy. I have no contact with the world outside. I have nothing to do except rot under these buzzing fluorescent lights in disgrace, unable to think with all of the screaming, the chaos, the absolute bedlam, pun intended, being rolled back and forth on stretchers outside my door. No one has come to talk to me, nor has the book I begged for been delivered, and I know that I'm in the wrong place. I'm not a patient. I am a prisoner. And what's more criminal, taking all of your sleeping pills at once, or sending a suicidal girl to a place like this? I suspect it must be late evening by now, though I have no real way of knowing. Multiple doctors have come in over the course of the day to ask me how I ended up here, and I wonder that they do not share this information with each other, or perhaps they do, and I'm simply being tested for consistency. In any case, I refine my story a bit each time. I tell it because not only do I realize I'm confusing them, I'm exhausting myself. And frankly, I'm tired of hearing my own voice. No one has asked me if I need anything, I'm not allowed to get out of this bed, but I know that I need water, and I still have nothing to do but try not to cry as I wonder how my life went so wrong. No, I will not cry. I have not cried since leaving Planned Parenthood 7 days ago, bleeding, barely able to stagger. The old white man with his Jesus cross and cardboard sign bellowing in my face, spitting, calling me a whore. And even then, I was ashamed of my tears. At last, a nurse arrives, and I ask her if I can have my books back. It's clear that neither she nor anyone else received my request hours ago, but nothing surprises me anymore, and I resume my begging. Sometime later, she returns with a large plastic bag branded with the hospital's logo and containing all of my belongings, as if to taunt me with its entire contents, when, as she now informs me, I may keep a single item. I select one of my favorite history books on the resurgence of the bubonic plague in the 19th century. Then, in my most heartening tone, or so I hope, I ask the nurse if I couldn't keep just one of my notebooks and pens as well. She refuses, adding that I'm not even supposed to have the book. I should be resting, not reading. Seeing that none of my charms could ever hope to penetrate the soulless shell of a woman, noted, hardened by years of attending to violent, or worse, annoying patients, I surrender. I unpin my hair, shaking the flaming red strands. Flaming, did you hear that? A little dramatic, but effective, no? From 2 twisted coils perched atop my head like meteors. Then smooth it back, attempting to look more dignified than I feel. Changing my mind, I decide to leave it loose. I even tangle it a bit so I appear half as crazy as I'm being treated. I imagine this is what Ophelia looked like. Sane but crazy. Crazy but sane. The nurse makes one final pass around the room, checking for hidden pens, shoelaces, and other deadly weapons, and I smear the painted heart upon my right cheek, black and red coming away on the back of my hand. If one is not allowed to read, write, communicate with anyone, or even walk around one's own room, well, what is supposed... Sorry, I fumbled that. If one is not allowed to read, write, communicate with anyone, or even walk around one's own room, what, then, is one supposed to do here? The nurse comes to my bedside and snatches up the hairpins laying on my lap before turning to leave. She glances back at me from the doorway. Sleep, she says. This water bottle should be more full than it is, but... My first night in the emergency ward, and, in the antiseptic glow of the bustling hallway outside, I can see that the night staff is a bit younger than the day shifters. Figures. Who would want the graveyard shift if they've had the seniority to choose otherwise? And why is it called the graveyard shift anyway? Is that a throwback to Victorian times when the cemetery staff would watch over the freshly buried bodies at night to prevent grave robbers from digging them up? Are we the freshly buried bodies? In any case, the attitude of the night staff is a bit softer as well. They haven't yet had the time to become harsh. A young nurse with an Alice band and quiet brown eyes comes to administer my sleeping pills. Really? As well as another handful of drugs. A few extras. I'm now in such a state of anxiety that my entire body is trembling uncontrollably. I ask this new nurse, girl to girl, if there's anything I can write with. Anything at all on the premises that I could be allowed. She looks doubtful. Yes, but I can't let this opportunity slip, so I exclaim, a Sharpie. What about a Sharpie? I couldn't possibly do anything dangerous with that, could I? The young nurse's brow furrows, and I see she's not altogether ruled it out. I'll go check. I fall back upon my pillowless bed and exhale for the first time in months. It's only one breath, and I know it won't last, but I just want one selfish moment to bask in the warmth of someone doing something nice for me. A few breaths later, and the nurse is back, a grin puffing her freckled cheeks. She holds up for my inspection a single red crayon. I burst out laughing, and once I start, I can't stop. So this is what it's come to? I gasped through hysterical tears. I couldn't find a Sharpie, but I did find this crayon from one of the children's rooms. Will it be useful at all? Snatching the crayon from my hand before she can change her mind, I tell her it's perfect. And it is, because I'm writing all of this down in the margins of my book about the plague. And everyone knows, that you can't erase crayon. Alright. How did that take 10 minutes? Okay, so apparently we're still taking 2 minutes a page. I know that I can read faster than that, but you know what? For your guys' sake, it's probably good that I'm taking time. We're going to leave it there on chapter 2. I can't believe I was anticipating getting all the way to 13. But, yeah. So, we are in an asylum, and all we've got to write with is crayon. Good times. There was a comment I was going to make. Right, okay, yes. When she mentioned Ophelia. I think that, like, my favorite song from her is Opheliac. You guys should go listen to it. Just, again, author/artist's name is Emilie Autumn. EMILIE AUTUMN. Go check her out. She's really awesome. Also, on the front here, those are the striped stockings in question that she has to wear. Yeah. Hope you guys are enjoying so far. Obviously, nothing's really happening yet. Just wait till we get to the first letter. I'm gonna read more of this tonight, so hopefully it's not as choppy. And then, I'll be back here next week to read more to you guys. I might even make this bi-weekly, depending. It's like a strong depending, but there's a chance. Alright, yeah, bye. I have to go get to game night. I'm already like 10 minutes late.